Thanks for joining us on Shannons Club TV, where we look back on the legacy of significant cars in Australia.
In each episode, we reflect on our feature car with rare archival images, new insights, and an owner's well-preserved example.
We'll also get the latest market updates from the Shannons auctions team. Right now, the Japanese juggernaut that rewrote the rules of sports car design, the Datsun 240Z.
The Datsun 240Z was the car that put the Japanese automotive industry on the international stage. Not only was the Z greater than the sum of its total parts, it was greater too than the sum of its assorted inspirations. It was a true original, which amounted to nothing less than the reinvention of the sports car. From its inception, the Z was radical. It was a dedicated new sports coupe, not based on any existing vehicle, unlike the Ford Mustang and our own Holden Monaro. Secondly, it would sell in a lower price range than supposed rivals. Thirdly, it would be conceived especially for the US market with a view to giving Nissan greater prestige. With its advanced overhead camshaft six-cylinder engine, the 240Z offered more urge than the four-cylinder Alfa Romeos. Think of this six-cylinder machine as having some 90% of the performance of a Jaguar E-Type and 90% of its sex appeal for little more than half the price in the US. The new 2.4 litre engine was based on the Datsun 1600's brilliant single overhead camshaft 1.6 litre 4. Mark, would it be fair to say that the Datsun 240Z and the 1600 before it made Nissan's name in motorsport?
Oh yeah, I think that'd be fair. I mean, the Datsun 1600 was a sensation because it was equally effective as both a race car and a rally car. The 240Z was perhaps a little less suited to circuit racing, although it did do very well in United States production sports car racing in the early 1970s. But the 240Z's strength really was in rallying, and it proved to be one of the world's best, which I'll get to a bit later.
A very rugged car. The 240Z was not merely successful, it quickly became the world's best-selling sports car. It was released in Australia in October 1970. Its 260Z successor had better low-speed torque, and there was a 2+2 variant. So far, so good. But the third Z car, the 280ZX, brought controversy. Here was a longer, softer, plusher car. A boulevard cruiser, said the critics. The ZX may have been softer than its predecessors, but was nevertheless superior in overall dynamics and drivability. It had quick power steering, rode better and had much better brakes with ventilated front discs. And the T-bar roof panels, inspired by the 1977 model Pontiac Special Edition Trans Am and available from 1980, added an extra dimension to what was eventually destined to be a classic. Mark, the 280ZX was competitive in local production car racing, but the 240 seems to have been the Z model that achieved the greatest sporting success.
Yeah, and the harsh terrain of Australia and Africa provided the perfect stage. It's a paradox that one of the most beautifully proportioned and elegantly styled sports cars achieved its greatest motorsport success in the brutally tough sport of rallying. In the 1970s, it won back-to-back Australian Rally Championships and was also twice winner of the hellishly tough East African Safari. The 240Z set new benchmarks, not only in styling, but also engineering refinement, with its tough but smooth inline six, supple long travel suspension, strong unitary body, and a relatively light tare weight of just over a tonne. It was these factors which combined to make the 240Z and larger capacity 260Z into winning rally cars, which could well have been one of their design targets from the start. After all, parent company Nissan's primary competition focus at the time was on conquering high-profile rallies to demonstrate ruggedness and reliability. John, the 240Z styling, it seemed to draw inspiration from British classics like the Healey 3000 and the E-Type Jaguar. But, it just set new standards in practicality for sports car ownership, didn't it?
It seems probable that inspiration for the 240Z's radical hatchback came from the Toyota 2000 GT, an exotic car built in tiny numbers.
Yeah, and what a change it was for a sports car owner, like taking your car in for servicing down to your local Datsun dealer. I mean, that was unheard
Yes,
of.
it used to be a choice that you had a practical car or a sports car, but the 240Z was really both.
That's it in a nutshell. The East African Safari was the event Nissan most wanted to win. The fact that its works entered 240Zs did it twice in the early 1970s proved works driver Rauno Altonen's claim that it was the ultimate car for the Safari at the time. The 240Z made its African debut in 1971 with stunning effect, as the factory Datsuns overwhelmed the works Porsche 911s to score a resounding 1-2. And they won it again in 1973. With 2 Safari victories in 3 years, Nissan's mighty Z car had nothing left to prove. In Australia, WA rally star Ross Dunkerton was the most successful Z car competitor. He won the 1975 Australian Rally Championship with John Large in a privately entered 260Z, before claiming his second title the following year with Jeff Beaumont in a factory-prepared 240Z against strong Porsche competition. And a hybrid version, which combined the best of Dunkerton's 2 cars, played a decisive role in his 3rd straight ARC win in 1977. The mighty Datsun 240Z and 260Z are 2 of Nissan's all-time greatest rally cars, and arguably the most beautiful. Don't forget, you can join the conversation on the Shannons Club forums with a host of interesting topics.
I'm David Tolman. My car's a 1972 Datsun 240Z. I've owned it since 1995. What attracted me to it in the first place was the colour. I liked the orange, and it was totally original. I already had a 260Z at the time and wondered what a 240Z would be like, so I was always interested in having one. The car was pretty much a basket case when I bought it, so what you see now is after a complete restoration. Originally the seats themselves were in good condition, unsplit, which was quite unusual. But the dash was cracked. I had to get that reskinned, and it's had new carpet. Hubcaps are pretty rare, and actually the hubcaps came from Tasmania, and they're off a early model 260Z. And so the car as it sits is really the sum of 3 cars. For its day, it was pretty advanced. The engine's a 2.4 litre overhead cam with twin SU style carburettors, 150 horsepower and very good performance. It performs very well because the body's quite light. It weighs just over 1,000 kilograms, so it's quite a light car. We're in the sports car competitions in the States. They were extremely competitive and won a lot of races, but I certainly intend to keep the car. I've put too much into it really to contemplate selling it.
Well, Shannon's National Auctions Manager Chris Borrabon joins us to talk about the famous Z cars. Welcome to the show, mate.
Welcome, Chris. I'm old enough to remember when the Datsun 240Z was just another used car, but that's not the case now, is it?
No.
No, look, not at all. A great resurgence in the Z cars. They're really a sought-after car today, and we see them, whether it's original form or whether they're modified, or also on a racetrack now.
So we've got 240Z, 260Z, and 280ZX. I imagine the way these things go, that the 240Z, the original, is that the one that people want most?
I would say I'd agree with that. I think the 240Z is, being the first of the Z cars, it was probably the
so pure
and simple.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of a 240. The shape is fabulous. It's a car that's sought after. Whether you're a collector of European cars or American cars, I think the 240Z has got that appeal.
Yeah, it's a beautiful looking car, without a doubt. So Chris, are we at a point where it is worthwhile now doing a full bare metal restoration on one of these cars?
Look, I think we are, and we're seeing more and more come through. From an insurance point of view, we are. We are seeing a lot of cars are being restored, and a lot of them being restored to original condition, but we're also seeing that what's acceptable with the 240 and 260 is some modifications.
Yeah, there's a lot of modified ones, aren't there?
Yeah, upgrades of power plant, could be wheels, could be suspension, because there's such an active car in the club scene. So we are seeing that it is an acceptable thing to do.
So for that restoration to be worthwhile, values must be climbing pretty sharply nowadays.
I think so, yeah. Look, if I look at what we've seen from the marketplace, it has grown since 2012, and we've seen the values of the 240s and 260s especially probably double. Since then.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, Chris.
Thanks for having me on.
And remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest Shannons auctions news on the Shannons Club website. If you'd like your own competition image of the Datsun Z cars, visit AutoPic's incredible motorsport archive. John, just looking back at these cars, I mean, they not only rewrote the rules on practicality, but they also, I think, changed the rules on value or perceptions of value, didn't they?
Well, think of it this way. In 1961, the Jaguar E-Type offered equivalent performance, really, and packaged to what you got in a Ferrari or a Maserati at half the price. Less than a decade later, the Datsun 240Z did to the E-Type what the E-Type had done to the Italian exotics, if you like. It rewrote the value equation significantly.
Yeah, it sure did. Well said. Well, we hope you've enjoyed reflecting on the fabulous Datsun 240Z, 260Z and 280ZX. We look forward to company next time on Shannons Club TV.
See you later.
Bye for now.